The next image is that's something. So, okay.
It is 9 a.m. and I'd like to welcome you to the Coos County Area Transportation District Board of Directors meeting.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here and joining us. At the time being 9 o'clock, we'll call the July 2025 joint meeting of the Coos County Area Transportation District Board of Directors and Advisory Committee to order. Melissa, will you please call the roll for both the board and advisory committee, please?
Certainly. Director VC.
Here.
Director Dovenspike.
Here.
Director Thompson.
Here.
Director Johnson. Director Clausen.
Here.
Director Taylor.
Here.
Director Nelson.
Here.
We do have a quorum of the board. Would you like me to take roll on the advisory committee at this time?
Yes, please.
Lauren Morris. Cynthia Ramirez.
Here.
Michael Babcock. Lindsay Ward. Michelle McIntyre. Richard Rogers.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have two members of the advisory committee. I will keep you apprised if other advisory committee members join us.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, the next item on our agenda is changes to the agenda. Board staff, are there any amendments to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Item 5 on our agenda today is rider testimony and service curtailment. It's rider testimony on CCATD service curtailment. Each person testifying will have 3 minutes. Since we don't have a sign-up list for folks to go in order, I think we're going to have our in-person testifiers go first, and then for our online friends, I'd ask you to use the Zoom raise hand feature. And if you're conferencing on your phone, you can press *9 to raise and lower your digital hand, or by utilizing the chat feature to indicate. And then our general manager, Melissa, will keep a short list and call on folks to give their testimony. But we do have, or does that sound all right to the board for testimony?
Do you know who Harper the 170 is? Because that probably important. That could be a board member.
I hold on. I'd like to make a public comment when it's my turn, Mary Rowe. I'm only attending by voice, so I'm going to ask you if you can please just call on me when it's time.
Absolutely, we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
First up, we do have an in-person testifier. Karen, that was your name, right?
Yeah.
Go right ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Karen Dubasar. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of North and City Tewksbury Housing Authority, and we are the managing agent of Powers Housing Development. The Powers Housing Development.
Karen, if you could please face the camera, that's where the microphone is.
Not sure where it is.
Just at the very top
Okay.
of the TV, the two kind of cameras.
Powers Housing Development is a 202 property, non-elderly or elderly and disabled property in Powers, Oregon. It's 26 units. We provide low-income housing, and some of our tenants rely heavily on the CCATD bus. And I just learned about this morning, so I'm sorry. I'm very discombobulated. And also our service coordinator in Powers is out today, so I don't have a lot of the information. But I would like to see if there isn't a remedy to just eliminating this bus service. Currently, the housing authority, we do reimburse or pay based on less. So our residents that ride the bus, we give you $6 per trip. I don't think we could afford any more, but there were some things with I thought of maybe having a bus terminal point that could connect to other areas. Maybe working with the housing authority and my boss, the executive director, Matt Bordenstrass, on maybe helping you guys find some sort of grant to help this perpetuate the bus service. I'm open. I really would hate to see this. This project has been there. It was built in 1982. It's been managed by the housing authority for quite some time, and we would just hate to lose this. It would drastically affect our tenants. We have at least 2 to 3 people who ride it once a week. They use it to connect to medical services. It's a very important link for them to be able to get to doctor's appointments and do their grocery shopping. There isn't a whole lot of services in Powers, as everybody I'm sure is aware of. So I'm hoping that maybe we could work together to try and keep. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Other in-person testifiers, Melissa, would you call on the 170 number, please? Any others that are here to testify on the service components? Thank you.
Mary Rowe, did you have a comment on the proposed curtailments and suspensions?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I'm Mary Rowe. My public comment is about proposed ride curtailment regarding the transit route to Roseburg, which allows veterans to get to the Veterans Medical Facility in Roseburg. I think that eliminating this transit route should only be done after extensive research and planning, if at all. Obviously, it is extremely important that all veterans be able to get to the Roseburg Medical Facility. I spoke with Oregon State House Representative Court Boyce about this matter, as Representative Boyce has been a longtime advocate for veterans in our area and thus has substantial familiarity with the needs of our veterans. Representative Boyce has been on the Oregon State Legislature's Joint Transportation Committee. Oregon State Senator David Brock Smith and Representative Boyce sponsored SB 550, which would have provided transportation for veterans of Curry and Coos counties to the VA clinic in Roseburg, which did not make it out of the Ways and Means Committee this last session. Representative Boyce can share the details with you as well as their future plans for this effort. I have discovered that some veterans are not aware of the CCAT transit service from Coos County to Roseburg, nor the fact that they can ride all CCAT buses for free. I recommend that veterans in Coos and Curry counties be surveyed by veteran service officers or other providers of veteran services to determine their need for transportation and their awareness of any such services, and that a comprehensive system be designed to educate veterans about such services. I also recommend that this board form a committee that would contact appropriate organizations and people in Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties to network on this issue and possibly form a task force to address it. Thus, all 3 counties, service providers, and experts could share the responsibility. Members of a task force could include Representative Boyce, State Senator Smith, county governments, veteran service officers, a veterans medical clinic representative, a commissioner from each county's public transportation system, and members of veterans groups. For instance, Ron Hedenskog, who is a member of the Curry Vietnam Veterans, is also the former mayor of Brookings and worked to bring a medical facility to Brookings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, are there any other folks here to make a public comment?
There are no other hands raised at this time.
All right, next item is Item 6, the citizen comments on agenda items, again limited to 3 minutes per person. Public comment in a meeting is a one-way communication where the public shares input on the record without expecting a dialogue or direct response. We have
Sure.
anyone here to make.
Chairman, would you like to read into the record the one written?
I would. Thank you for reminding me, Melissa. We did
Okay.
have one written testimony from a vote, and I will read that into the record right now in just a minute. For anybody who has a packet, it will be the one with a little clip on it. It'll be the back one, or yeah. So I'll go ahead and read it. Subject line, Jason Steen, Powers Housing Unit. Subject, subject. Urgent need for continued and expanded transportation services for Powers Housing Unit residents. To whom it may concern, please let me know if I'm talking too fast. Somebody just interrupt me and I slow down. To whom it may concern, I'm writing to you today as a concerned constituent from Powers, Oregon, and a resident of the Powers Housing Unit to express my thoughts on the critical need for reliable transportation, particularly for medical appointments. Many residents of the Powers Housing Unit, including myself, do not have a personal vehicle to travel to and from our doctor's appointments. The only current option for public transportation is a bus service available exclusively on Thursdays. This limited service presents a significant hardship, especially for residents who cannot afford a car, are unable to drive due to disabilities, or do not possess a current driver's license. With the suspension of the telehealth service after COVID-19, many medical providers require in-person visits, often at locations 20 to 60 miles away, which can consume an entire day's travel and appointment time. This single day a week bus service is a vital lifeline for many of us, as seeing a doctor 4 to 5 times a year is a necessity, for managing our health. The current situation places an undue burden on vulnerable residents, making it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to access essential medical care. The thought of this service being reduced or removed is deeply concerning, as it would severely impact the health and well-being of many in our community. I sincerely hope you will advocate for the continuation of this essential bus service to the Powers Housing Unit for many residents that is not merely a convenience, but a fundamental necessity for maintaining their health. Furthermore, I have heard discussions suggesting the possibility of expanding this service, and I strongly urge you to explore and support such initiatives. Expanding the service would greatly elevate the transportation challenges faced by residents and ensure better access to healthcare. I will also be reaching out to others, including your colleagues, about this critical matter. Thank you for your time and consideration of this important matter, and I understand the many demands on your attention and appreciate your dedication to serving the people of Oregon. I look forward to your response and any actions you may take regarding the transportation services for Powers Housing Unit residents. Sincerely, Jason Steve. Thank you, Jason, very much for submitting that. Now, public comment. Citizen comments on agenda items. Do we have anybody here to make a public comment on an agenda item?
I have no hands raised.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you to both of you who came to share, testify, and use your voices today. I hope you're able to stay and hear our discussions and presentation from staff, but again, thank you for taking time out of your Monday morning to be here with us. Before we move on, we'll go to item 7, I believe, which is the consent agenda. Board colleagues, I did have okay, let me start over. Item 7, which has our Board of Director minutes from the June 9th, 2025 regular meeting, the district financial report as of May 31st, 2025, the district balance sheet also is May 31st. We do not have a ridership report for this month, is what I have been told, and I would ask the board for an amendment to strike that. Or a motion first, I guess, to approve, and then an amendment to strike that. Accept the ridership report for May 2025 under
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Comments, discussion, amendments.
So we need to strike the ridership report.
Correct.
After he's done accepting the consent agenda.
So we just made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Now don't we need to make a motion to amend the consent
Yeah,
agenda
but
by
you have to
striking?
finish the first one or say you're in the middle of the first motion, right?
Yeah, but when you make an amendment to the motion during the main motion,
So make your motion to this amendment that you're in the middle of.
It would have been easier
You're not
just-
gonna do a new motion in the middle of one motion, I don't.
yeah, but would it be like like a secondary motion amendment to strike that? Because we want that out, so we made a motion to approve.
Right.
And I will make an amendment to strike it. So
Yes, and you can do that by your second motion, but you don't wanna do it in the middle of your first motion.
yeah, okay.
So you need to get them to vote on your first motion to accept, we gotta. Right, do we gotta spend a second, we need everybody to vote on that, did we vote on that, and I'm really out of it, okay, good. I think you're.
We have not.
It would have been easier just not to accept the ridership report
Well,
originally.
either way, I mean, it's the consent agenda, so the consent agenda covers everything, and so what he's trying to get is,
I
okay, now
know.
we're talking about the consent agenda, which we're talking about, which is great. And so, but before you call for the second motion, we gotta finish the discussion on, are we accepting this? Yes, with an amendment that we need to make, okay, vote on it, because this is still about the motion to accept it. And then motion to amend, because the motions have to be separate, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess I was just
Make
a
an
little bit
amendment
confused
to
because usually,
my motion.
sure. Could we-
My,
could we accept
I make
friendly
an
amendment in a
amendment
second
to my
the
motion.
I love that
We
idea,
have to vote first.
Okay,
well, yeah, so
We have to vote on the first.
My
one.
everybody, but
Make
it's really okay. There's something funky every time,
Okay.
when you're learning to do motions and voting and stuff. It seems easy when you're watching and then when you're in the middle of it, it's like.
Well, I've done it for a while. My understanding was like, okay, we made a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. We're in that discussion.
Yes.
And now the way I'm understanding it is you're telling me we cannot now, while in that discussion of this motion, make an amendment to the motion. and
Correct.
just strike.
That's
You need to
correct.
finish, well, no, you're gonna make an amendment to it.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And, yeah, you just don't wanna make a whole new motion in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Yes, we can absolutely amend.
that's what I was,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
like a motion to amend. is what I was
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'll make a motion to amend, to accept the consent agenda, except, to strike the ridership report.
Beautiful.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda without the ridership report. Board, is there any comments, concerns, discussions, or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, say aye.
I,
Opposed, say no. Abstentions. The motion carries and is approved. Thank you. Item 8 is old business, in which there is no old business, so we'll move into item 9A, which is new business. Service curtailments. I'll go ahead and read the background on the item and then pass it to Melissa to give us a better scope of the causes of why this is coming to the board and an overview and breakdown of staff's recommendations. And then we can move into board questions and discussion, and then proceed turning it over to the CCAT advisory. Oh, never mind. We don't have our CCAT advisory committee.
We did have, Lauren Morris did join us, so we do have 3 advisory committee members with a quorum.
Is that a quorum? All right. So, stand corrected. I'll take it back. So, we'll have staff do our presentation, then we can move into board questions and discussion. Then we'll proceed with turning it over to our CCAT advisory committee for their deliberation and advisory vote before bringing it back to the board for further discussion and a motion on the item. And then in that time, we'll take any amendments or final comments before we move into a vote. Does that sound adequate to everybody? Awesome. So I'll start by reading the back. Transit agencies have traditionally received STIF at the start of each quarter, along with federal disbursements occurring 60 to 180 days after expenses have incurred. This results in a precarious cash flow for public transit. ODOT can no longer function as a buffer by providing interim funds to cover federal reimbursements, which may be as long as 6 months. Additionally, the cost of operating a transit vehicle has risen by 47% since 2019. The existing payroll tax of 0.1% that was implemented in 2018 won't be sufficient in mitigating the increasing costs to operate, along with delays in cash flow. Staff recommends service curtailment as a strategy to mitigate risk of funding uncertainties. Now pass it to our general manager, Melissa, for our staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So staff are recommending that, number one, we suspend the weekly service to Roseburg and Powers, and suspend the B on demand service, which serves Bunker Hill, East Side, and Englewood. Reduce dial-a-ride in Coquille Myrtle Point from 5 days to 3 days, and reduce dial-a-ride in Bandon from 3 days to 2 days. So what this would allow us to do then is reduce 1 FTE. So, and we'll have a driver in the morning who will start the timber line in Coos Bay. He'll drive from North Bend to Myrtle Point. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll provide dial-a-ride in Coquille Myrtle Point, and then return on timber in the mid-afternoon. Then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that same driver would be the timber driver starting in North Bend, going to Myrtle Point. Then we'll go across to Bandon, provision Bandon service on Tuesdays and Thursdays, then return back to Myrtle Point, and then return to North Bend in that afternoon shift. Then I also prepared, let me share my screen. Hold on. Okay. So I prepared this reference sheet that basically, is it big enough on your end?
Yes.
All right. So you can see the cost per trip ranges from $20 from the green line, and then the B line is $260 a trip. A lot of what drives these cost per trips is the number of people who are participating in that service. And then you can see then the number of trips in a quarter. And so again, starting the most utilized being the green line, 3,604 trips per quarter. And then the other end of the spectrum, the B line, that we had 8 trips in a quarter for B line. Yellow I used as showing where curtailments are being proposed, and the orange salmon-y color is a proposed suspensions. What questions might the board have on this information?
I got a question. What if the days that you're going to Myrtle Point, you couldn't just go to Powers as well? So you wouldn't have, you only have a trip from Myrtle Point to Powers added on.
So let me
So
rephrase.
like on a Tuesday or on a Monday or Wednesday, or you're switching Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If they went to Powers on one of those days.
So in lieu of 3 days a week dial-a-ride service in Coquille Myrtle Point, the question is going to 2 days a week.
Right, but what if they went on one of those days, they went to Powers? If they went the additional 18 miles, then they would provide transportation for Powers, what time do they have to, where do they normally leave Powers? At what time in the morning?
So
To get
I'm gonna
to
call on
Coos Bay.
Selena to speak on the schedule of powers. Selena?
So typically we leave Powers at 8:30 in the morning. And then we get to Coos Bay about 9:30. And then we pick them back up at 1 and take them back to Powers. In order to add Powers on there, we would have to shorten the amount of time that they would have. It's not impossible, but we would have to change the amount of time that they have in Coos Bay as well. Because Coos Bay is ultimately where they need to be at.
Correct.
So Selena, what is the window currently that residents of Powers have in Coos Bay North Bend? And what would be the window if we attached it to timber?
So if we attached it to timber, it would ultimately, they would get into Coos Bay closer to like 10 o'clock. It's going to be like about a 30 to 45 minute difference. And then we would actually take them back at about 12:30, which is a 30-minute difference. So they're ultimately only losing between an hour and a half in Coos Bay. Then we would be able to get them back to Coos Bay and still be able to operate the timber back into from Myrtle Point to Coos Bay. So they're losing about an hour and a half of time at most.
So what's their total shopping time?
So their total shopping time would be 2.5 hours.
So they could schedule a doctor's appointment in that window or shopping or whatever, whereas they wouldn't have to miss out completely.
Correct. Currently, 95% of the trips from Powers are to Fred Meyer or Walmart.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it wasn't 95% to doctor, so they could they just have to have a list. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the board?
So we could keep the service to Powers 1 day a week at least. Is it possible to stretch to 2 days?
We only do powers once a week now.
I don't, but we did have a request.
If you did
stretch to
it
2.
twice a week, I mean, you're taking, I mean, we only have a cup usually on average. And Selena, correct me if I'm wrong, but on average, isn't it 2 individuals from Powers once a week?
Correct. We have one rider that rides every week, and about every other week we get at least one other rider that goes with them.
So if you break it into twice a week, you're likely reducing the number of riderships from 1 to 2 to having an empty bus on one of the 2 days.
Would it be possible to have that more on demand, that we didn't send a bus to Powers unless they called us and let us know that they wanted to ride?
So I won't be able to reduce FTE if we do 2 days a week for Powers.
Mhm. Right. And that's the ultimate goal. Is it possible to reduce the services in Bandon, Coquille, and Myrtle Point to be able to help provide services to Powers?
They are reducing them already.
I know we are, but without eliminating them, there is still reductions possible.
I think it would be a better strategy to maintain 1 day a week and look at ways that we can work with Powers Housing Authority to see if we can collaborate in getting them a van that they drive to Myrtle Point, because we're in Myrtle Point 3 times between Coos Bay, North Bend, and Myrtle Point 3 times a day. And if we could work with them in getting a van that can go between Powers to Myrtle Point to bridge from, that would start in Powers. So we wouldn't have the deadhead miles. That would be much more effective.
And that would be through a grant or something that we help them with?
That we would collaborate with, yeah. That's not an immediate fix, but in the long run, that's going to be much more cost efficient and provide a better service because it will provide that last leg between Powers and Myrtle Point.
So, but the immediate fix could be that we go to Powers 1 day a week.
And we would reduce Coquille Myrtle Point dial-a-ride from 3 days to 2 days.
Fair enough. Second question. So I also don't want to see Roseburg eliminated for our veterans and their needs as well as other people, you know, and I like the idea of a task force. I'd be willing to volunteer for that or grants. But in the meantime, is there another service? I know it would take longer to get there if need be, but some people have their doctors in Roseburg and that's not changeable. So is there a service available if they went up to Florence, over to Eugene, and then down to Roseburg?
So currently, if you were to look on Google and to look at transit service from Eugene to Roseburg, you wouldn't see any. But ODOT has provisioned a grant to Pacific Crest to begin a service in July between Medford and Eugene. And so although the service doesn't exist today, it is anticipated to be implemented very soon.
And that's about a 45-minute longer ride to get from Eugene down to Roseburg, but it is possible for them to make that link, hopefully, when Pacific Transit gets that line going.
Yes, so you know, the state has been very diligent in making sure that from transit as a system, statewide system, to fill in those gaps. Just like when we worked with ODOT to fill in the gap on 101 between Coos Bay and Florence, ODOT is actively working with Pacific Crest to fill in that I-5 corridor gap. Jennifer, was there anything else that we should add that hasn't been mentioned?
I don't think so. The funding is there. There's just a delay in getting the agreements out because of staffing. ODOT had a number of layoffs, about 480. And so our staffing has been reduced dramatically. So there is a little bit of a delay in getting that agreement out for that new service to start. But it will be available. Unfortunately, a very roundabout way to get there, but funding is limited all around for sure.
Can I interject for just a second? On your idea proposal, so they would have to take our bus to Florence, catch Link Lane back to Eugene, and then take that new Pacific Crest down to Roseburg
Exactly.
and that route back up.
And we hope that it links well back up. Exactly.
Well, my son tried to catch the bus yesterday. We drove to the casino in Florence. They moved the bus stop. We missed the bus. We drove to Eugene. If you're an 87-year-old person and you're trying to catch the bus and you miss your bus stop because they moved the bus or they're early, it's a bad idea. It's possible there's no way a person wants to be on the bus for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just
Three different buses.
3 different buses.
And only one of them was ours.
It's way too challenging.
Each with an opportunity to miss that.
I mean, yeah, and I mean.
The theory is
More
good, but in
expensive.
practicality, it's a bad idea.
So other alternatives to suspending the Roseburg.
Well, we can't suspend the Roseburg. We have to figure something out. We have to do something.
What other alternatives could there be?
So,
We have to work with different organizations that
Different
might be
veterans
going.
organizations has their own supplemental transportation that now probably provides more rides there than we do.
I thought you, Melissa, has an answer to some of this too.
Go ahead, Melissa.
so this is Melissa. We have one writer who participates regularly on the Roseburg route, who goes to the VA clinic.
And is there another option for him?
So, you know, I don't have the magic bullet, you know, for this individual. But I mean, it's a significant amount of time. The bus generally leaves at 7:30 in the morning, right? And drives over, and then the driver then will sit there for a couple hours. And then the driver then returns back. So I mean, it is an entire shift of a driver for that day. And again, with our intent of trying to reduce 1 FTE, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, Roseburg, it's serving an individual right now. And we've been working on trying to build this ridership in Roseburg for, 3 to 4 years now. And, you know, it doesn't thrive. And it's outside of, a good amount of it is outside of our county. And so is it the best use of employer payroll for Coos County to invest in this service? And that is a question for the board.
It's not. And I would like to take on the responsibility of finding an alternative for that one individual that I think I can easily do. And work with him and the VA to find a very reasonable alternative that won't take one man all day, one bus all day to do it. And certainly to get him there when he needs to be there once a month.
And apparently there's 48 trips then within the quarter, so maybe there's more than one person once in a while, you know, so, but that would be good to have that.
I mean,
Mention.
in the April 2025 ridership report for current month, there were 24. But I mean, my thing is, this is the only public transportation route to Roseburg. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there is no other public entity, public route that will be there. And so that's where my concern comes in, is that yes, if it's one person, sure, we can find a way to get there. But then we're just taking away that option. And I mean, I understand where you're coming from and where Melissa's coming from, but that's just where my head's at. This is the only way to get there. If you didn't have or didn't want to take a car. So that's what I'm concerned with.
Well, we also don't have, regular transit to other cities in Oregon. And the Veterans Organization has other alternatives. I'd be glad to investigate them and find a way that our veteran can get there without having this organization involved.
I'm not the director.
If there's a driver with a CCAT bus just sitting in Roseburg for a few hours, and Maybe get the money from them, have the CCAT bus pitch in. We'll run their route a little bit.
The Roseburg transportation.
Yeah, there's already a bus there sitting around for a few hours.
I'm going to ask the board to speak up a little more so that it can be
Yeah,
picked
maybe.
up over the microphone.
Maybe if Roseburg Transit could pitch in a little bit of money and use the CCAT bus while it's sitting around up there for a few hours.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
I think the issue there, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would immediately be concerned about your suddenly switching to a totally different organization with a totally different
Yes.
board, totally different set of rules. Different guidelines, different people paying, different liability, different lawyer, like it would cost more just to organize doing that than like any kind of return. And I'm not saying nothing we do is an investment here. Everything's on like grants and donations, but that money has stopped. And something we have to do has to stop because the money is not there anymore.
Yeah. So, it's not possible, it's not possible.
Not practical. Better than bus.
Yeah, I think that'll be better with, but yeah.
How, rough timeline, Melissa, how long do we think for this? I think I saw 6 months somewhere. Is that kind of what we're hoping for curtailments and suspensions? Any guidance on that?
No, the curtailments and suspensions will be in place until such time as federal funding and state funding, we see some changes.
Says it's effective August 1, is that correct?
That is the proposal, yes.
Board, any other comments, discussion, debate items before we kick it off to the advisory committee for their deliberation?
Well, I think if Mike's, oh, go ahead.
Perhaps come to a consensus or not about Shira's suggestions so that Melissa has some direction.
For the.
Definitely want powers once a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I can think of immediate one, and it's not immediate, but that Pacific Transit or whatever is gonna be the long, milk run to Roseburg if somebody needs to go, or we're gonna probably find out that gentleman could take a veterans van over there.
Or some alternative.
Or some other alternative. We're gonna actually try that, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike, for volunteering on that.
How do you feel about that? The hours specifically, the 1 day a week? From Myrtle Point?
Harper, we can't hear you on
Oh,
remote.
sorry.
And I don't have any feelings about that.
I'm just trying to grab a consensus so we can move on to the advisory committee.
I agree with Powers.
Powers 1 day a week.
1 day a week.
Yeah, we gotta have powers.
Will that be?
That means you curtail the Myrtle Point Coquille to 2 days a week.
Right, and then the powers is on one of the days, probably say Wednesday.
Right, better than Friday.
Melissa
Whereas it was-
Dovenspike,
Yes.
meals, senior congregate meals in Coquille Myrtle Point are on what days?
Monday and Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday's
Good.
So Fridays would probably be the best day to go to Powers.
I don't quite understand because of the meals in Coquille. How does that?
Taking people to the meal site.
So if there's senior meals being provisioned in Coquille Monday and Wednesday, and someone in Myrtle Point wants to go to a senior meal, if the bus is diverted to doing a Powers run, it wouldn't be available. Therefore, the Powers run would have to be on a Friday.
Okay.
That's logical.
But then if you're bringing that down to 2 days a week, doesn't that mean all those seniors lose out on getting one of those Monday, Wednesday meals? Are you talking about Powers? I'm trying to understand this. If you add a run onto the end of the Myrtle Point run to go out to Powers. Right, that's what we're talking about.
Correct.
And right now. That is part of that initial run gets these elderly folks to this meal thing. If you switch to doing the Powers thing on Friday, then you're basically dropping off one of the runs that you make to the meal thing. Is that right?
They don't do
Yeah.
meals on Fridays.
Yeah, the meals on
They do
Friday.
meals, we do meals on Monday and Wednesday. Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Can someone say it better? Said the lawyer.
By doing it Friday, you're not affecting the meals program at all.
Okay, that's just what I wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Say we just have to like pick one of the days essentially, because
They would be
we'll have to
multiple
pick one,
days.
we'll have to either pick the Monday or the
Yeah.
Friday to cut. And so they would have that Monday or the other option design that. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's what I thought it sounded like too.
And we all feel all right about that in this moment. Come back after.
Harper, you're gonna have to talk
Sorry,
louder.
my
I'm
bad.
so
Thank you.
sorry.
Keep reminding me. Does the board feel all right about that current soft proposal right now before we kick it to the advisory committee? We can come back to this after their discussion.
That the 2 days a week would be Wednesday and Friday in the Coquille.
Sure.
The 2 days a week would be Monday and Wednesday.
Monday.
Yeah, and Friday to, hours.
We keep it 3 days
Yeah,
a week then.
that's what it said from 5 to 3.
I thought we had to reduce in order to afford the powers, but okay.
I think that I was confused about how the loop works, but I bet you that they will take what we get, you guys asked for and make it make sense.
Good. We need powers. 1 day a week.
Agree.
All right.
Any other comments before we pass it to Chair Lauren Morris of the advisory committee? Hearing none, advisory committee, would you like to take it away for your deliberation and advisory vote? You're out there.
Good morning. Yes. Trying to figure out how to do this because it looks like we're still keeping the 3 days a week. I would like to, where there's only 3 of us right now, I understand. So I would like to propose that someone on the advisory committee make the motion as it's stated in the agenda, and that we pass that vote onto the board of directors, and then you can make the changes that you see fit based on the discussion that you just had. Does anybody have a problem with that? Or are you going to make that change now, Melissa?
I think she's making it right now.
Just to throw my 2 cents in there, and I'm hopefully Selena is still there, that the staff, the CCAT staff, I know has worked really, really hard, because I know how hard they've had to work to come up with routes when we've added things in, that they worked really hard to make this feasible and stay within the budget and everything. So I appreciate the work that they did and support them wholeheartedly. So is there anyone on the advisory committee that would like to make the motion that as stated in the agenda with the changes that that were made? Anybody? Feel like Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Who is on here, Melissa?
Yeah, Richard and Cynthia.
Richard or Cynthia, would either of you like to make that motion? Richard?
I'll make that motion, Richard.
Do you want to go ahead and read that out, the proposed AC motion?
Proposed I see a motion that the CCAT Advisory Committee recommends that the Board of Directors support the staff recommendation regarding the service curtailing as presented effective August 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Cynthia, how do you vote?
Hi, apologies. So this is something that's still new to me, so I'm still learning. So as far as could
Do you, a motion has been made to accept or to direct the Board of Directors to accept the staff recommendations regarding service curtailment.
And then so as far as like me voting,
Yeah, you either vote yes or no.
okay, then my vote would be yes.
Mine as well. So you have the support, Board of Directors has the support of the I don't think I'm saying that right. Anyhow, the advisory committee's motion has passed and the motion has been passed on to the Board of Directors. Thank you, Cynthia and Richard. Appreciate it.
Thank you, advisory committee and their the board. Final, or would we like to have a little bit more discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion and then we can debate that? I'll leave it up to the board at this point to either continue discussion or make a motion.
Soft suggestion, if you want to make the motion with the amendment that you add the Powers route on Friday, you can say as amended by Shira's addition to add the Powers route.
This is Lauren, I'm sorry. That was Shira? Shira? My daughter's name is Shira. I know that we talked about that, so I get confused. The motion actually includes that because the agenda was changed before we made the motion by the CCAT staff.
Wow.
So it includes your,
It was.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So I would like to make the motion that the CCAP Board of Directors adopts the staff recommendation as recently revised to be able to have include Powers on Friday and a drop to 2 days a week on the Coquille Murder Point route.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the service curtailment.
I'd like to see something about Roseburg in the plan for the future. We don't just bail on Roseburg. I'd like to see some committee or some activity to bring it back, obviously pending funding, but I'd like to see that in our motion somehow that we don't give up on Roseburg.
Would you like to make a motion to amend?
I could amend my motion to everything I had said with also trying to find other alternatives, grants, committees, etc., to bring back Roseburg as soon as feasible. Does that work?
I don't think that, you know,
We're gonna do it anyway.
yeah, I don't like that.
Okay.
It's not really something that's actionable, so like you can say it, but
I mean,
Sure.
you could put in the motion to
you
have the chair appoint a committee too. I mean, I said you
That's
can make it, you can make it action.
You could do that.
right,
Or if that's what's wanted by the board, that is
right.
an avenue
That's
that you can go if you want to
very
make that part of
good
your motion, but I would have made your motion not just kind of take back seats and have it there, right?
There's got to be some type of direction or goal or activity. You can't just say, we're hoping.
And Joe, do you feel like it needs to be part of the motion to move forward on this part, or can we do a separate?
We could do a separate one.
Oh, good. Why don't we keep your motion as it was?
The first motion,
Yes.
as it was, okay,
Yeah.
So we still have a motion, yes, on the floor.
in a second.
In a second, we have a full motion. Debate, I'll open it back up to the board for final deliberations, all for vote. There's been a motion called, so I'll call the There's been a motion and a second to approve. And for the board of directors to adopt the staff recommendation to curtail services as presented. So that's what we got on. There's been a move to call the question. So all in favor of this motion, say
Aye.
aye. Opposed, say no. Abstentions. The proposal carries and it's adopted with implementation August 1st, 2025.
Doug, if you want to make.
Okay,
it.
sorry, I'm trying to do your job,
You're good.
maybe open it up for the follow-up motion for Doug, so that you guys can talk a little more about directing staff.
I'd like to see I'll make a motion that we get a committee to help do the Roseburg route again, talk to entities, provide funding, whatever, so we can get to resume our Roseburg route, say by October.
And I'd like to amend that to find an alternative solution, not necessarily a CCAT solution.
Yeah.
So if there's a volunteer in this room, my program could provide fuel money to go to the veterans to
Well,
Roseburg.
Oh, fabulous.
well,
Hey, let's appoint that committee and then you guys can talk about this.
I'll second the motion of Doug's motion and including the amendment from.
Does Doug accept that friendly amendment from Director
Yes.
Lawson to his motion?
Of course.
Seconded it.
Mike's the man.
Okay, so we have a motion to appoint a committee to handle the feasibility of the Roseburg route. Is that what I'm? Is that encapsulating it? We can have less work with specifics. Okay, we have a motion in a second. Board or staff comments on that.
You gotta decide who's gonna be on the committee.
Why?
As Mary wrote, talked about a lot of people. That was a good point.
I know I have the authority in the bylaws to appoint a committee. Do we have to do that in the public meeting or do we want to make that a part of it?
You want to at least do the appointment of any public officials in the public meeting, and then assume that the committee is also going to approve someone on staff. And Lauren Morris has her.
Oh, Lauren, go ahead.
I would like to participate in that as well. I think the Coquitlam Indian Tribe has some funds that they can contribute.
So, does anybody, so we've got Lauren and do we have anyone, Mike?
yes.
We have.
So that's good. That's no more board members.
Right, I was gonna say that, so we're getting close to a point. We need to.
Now we need to, is everybody okay with those two as appointees?
Wonderful people.
Good deal. I would call for the question.
Well, you can't call for the question.
That's why I'm telling you.
Okay,
I
that's
would.
why I was. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to appoint a committee on work on resuming our Roseburg festivities. We have two board members and an advisory committee member. I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
You know, I'm not sure that you said it as part of our potential solution is excluding CCAT from that.
And that's why I was kind of going big and broad. with
It was
so
nice.
we
It
could
was beautifully and
include-
broadly worded.
include that. But I will call the question. All in favor of that. Go ahead.
So you said 3. I thought it was just Mike and Lauren.
There's a advisory board member, and then there's 2
Director goes back and-
directors.
Okay, I like that more.
There we go. I like that. Any last comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Abstentions. The motion carries and it is adopted. We have a committee. Yay. Okay, we will now move on to item 10, our general manager report. And I will give that to Melissa to take that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm pleased to report that we submitted our $8.8 million grant to ODOT on time. And so they're busy packaging to transmit to FTA. I've also been working with Anastasia at Crow Clay to prepare our NEPA package, again, to go to ODOT, which will then pass to FTA for our transit center and mobility hub. Anastasia and I are putting, final touches on NEPA is an environmental, and it's a large packet. It's going to be probably end up being a good 50 pages. I mean, it's a book. And then FTA will then review this document and likely ask for more information because that's what they do. Because they want to make sure that if there are public funds invested in infrastructure of this size, that due diligence has been done. So we would anticipate, that this whole NEPA approval process may take up to 6 months. So it will be a process, and we know that it's in our best interest to get that kick-started sooner than later. Then I also submitted $40,000 request from J.A. Mogan Foundation for additional match money for our transit center and mobility hub. And that's all the updates I have for the transit center and mobility hub. Are there any questions on that activity before I go to my next item?
Just want to thank you, Melissa, for all the work, getting that in on time, and we can really count on you, and I appreciate your work and the others that helped.
Thank you. So the ridership report. We've been working with Passio. Passio is our new software provider that tracks all of our miles and trips and revenue hours. It's our scheduling system for our buses. We'll just say what they represented as a very robust reporting system is very difficult to get information out of. I've had at least 6 meetings only dealing with getting data out of the system and still continue to encounter issues in effectively getting data out. We have more meetings on the books, and it will have to get this resolved because we have to have accurate information to allocate costs and to report to NTD as well as to ODOT. And so, but it is taking an extraordinary number of time of mine, as well as it will be taking more time of Selena's, our operation manager, to make sure that the data is clean. It's an ongoing frustration, and I just want you all to know that we're busy working through these issues. Any questions on that?
Thank you. That's it.
I did meet with the Coos Bay Livability Committee a couple of weeks ago, and just gave kind of a general information on our transit center and mobility hub. And after that presentation, I was OPB reached out to me, and they're interviewing me today at noon on our transit center and mobility hub. So it's a radio show. And yes, I am a little nervous, but we'll get there. We'll do great. And I look forward to spreading the news of how the transit district is working hard to provision excellent service for Coos Bay and Coos County.
It's great exposure. That's gonna be really good to get that word out to more and more people. Yes, we have confidence in you.
Thank you. That's all I have for my report.
Wonderful. Any last comments or questions on the general manager's report? Hearing none, we'll move into item 11, citizen comments on non-agenda items. Also limited 3 minutes per person. Again, public comment in the meeting is a one-way communication where the public shares input on the record without expecting a dialogue or direct response. With that said, do we have anybody here to make a public comment on a non-agenda item? Great. Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 12, our CCAT board assessment workshop will be August 11th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Please plan on being physically present. Those materials should have been emailed out to you at some point. I know I have it, so I met with Jim Knight from SDIO. Very excited for this opportunity, very excited to go through this. I think it's going to be wonderful for our board, for how we work together and everything. So I'm very, very excited. Very excited to see you all there.
Required.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm more excited than I am about that. Any final closing comments from the board? Hearing none, thank you all so much. We'll adjourn this meeting at 10:00.